Now, I don't know if you're superstitious or if you believe in signs from above, but I ought to take this as a sign probably not to post this video because this is my third attempt at doing so. I shot two almost 30-minute long State of the Fan Address videos yesterday. Neither one of them would upload. As of this morning when I woke up, they were still uploading. So what I'm going to do today is try number 3, and I'm going to give you the short and sweet condensed version, the Cliff's Notes version of the Week 8 State of the Fan Address, only about 3 days late. I was traveling on Sunday. I'm in Austin, Texas, by the way, and so I wasn't able to shoot till yesterday, and that was a complete disaster. So, the short version. The list of problems with the 2023 Clemson football team is a mile long. There isn't enough time in one video or even two videos to point out all of those different problems. Let's start with the first glaring problem. Coaching. The coaching is terrible. What else is terrible? The play calling continues to be head-scratching, predictable, and terrible. The execution of said terrible play calling is also terrible. There's also no dog on this team. There's no alpha. There's no leader. We have several me guys. Will Shipley's turning out to be a me guy. And apparently Cade Klubnik is too. That brings me to my next point. Cade Klubnik should be benched this week against NC State. If what Dabo Swinney said was true, and Cade Klubnik pretty much admitted to, that's insubordination. The final play of the game there, taking the game into your own hands when you're supposed to hand the ball off. According to Dabo, it wasn't an RPO. He just took the game in his own hands, decided to run it, which, by the way, I called. I'm sitting on my couch. I look at my wife, and I said, he's about to keep the ball. He's about to run backwards and lose yardage, and the game's going to be over. And that's exactly what happened. He's a turnover machine, and now he's not listening to the play calls. Look, I don't know if Cade Klubnik is going to be it for the future in Clemson, but I don't care how good you are. If you make a mistake that big in a situation, in a football game that's that important to the team and everybody else, then you have to sit on the bench for at least 1 week, at minimum. At this point, Clemson doesn't have anything to lose anyway, right? They're out of the race for the ACC. For sure now. I mean, they probably were before anyway, but mathematically they're definitely out of the race for the ACC. They can't salvage a 10-win regular season. They're probably going to lose at least 1, maybe 2 more games. So what do you have to lose at this point? Let's see what our backups have to offer. Maybe they'll be better than Cade Klubnik. Who knows? I don't know who's calling the plays. I still can't get a clear answer on that, because Dabo Swinney's whole thing is, well, this isn't Garrett Riley's offense. This is Clemson's offense. You know how he does that thing where there's no me or no I in team. This is Clemson's offense. Well, maybe it needs to be Garrett Riley's offense. If it's not 100% Garrett Riley's offense right now, it needs to be 100% Garrett Riley's offense from here on forward. Let's see what Garrett Riley's offense looks like, because Clemson's offense doesn't look good at all. I'm not exactly sure what they did on their bye week. I mean, losing to Miami in the fashion that they did was embarrassing enough. Shout out to Miami. You deserve to win. I'm not putting you down. But that was embarrassing enough. But the way that they lost was probably the most embarrassing thing. It should have never gone to a double overtime. But I knew after the 3 turnovers in the first half, there was no way Clemson was going to win this football game. They've got to be the worst in the country. I'm pretty sure they are at scoring in the red zone and turning the ball over in the red zone. They have a better chance of scoring from the 30-yard line than they do from the 6-inch line. But what we saw in overtime this past week was exactly a carbon copy of the nightmare that we saw in overtime against Florida State, almost to a T. Almost to a T. And again, I harp on this every single week, and I know there's a bunch of other Clemson fans out there that harp on this every single week as well. Where in the hell is Phil Maffa? I don't want to hear at the beginning of the season Phil Maffa had turnover problems, so they limited his playing time, I guess to punish him. I don't know. I guess Phil Maffa is the only player that gets punished on that team because they don't attempt to punish Cade Klubnik or Will Shipley for their problems and their turnover problems, do they? No. But, of course, Phil Maffa, who coming into the game has the highest yards per rush of anybody on the team, but he continues to be on a milk carton. They brought him in for, I think, one run, the first play of overtime, and then he went back to the bench. He's 235 pounds. If you can't get 1 yard with Phil Maffa at the end of the game to tie the game, well, then you don't deserve to win the game anyway. But that's neither here nor there. I don't know what the issue is, why they refuse to play Phil Maffa. The love affair with Will Shipley is head-scratching and mind-boggling. Where do you go from here? That's the question. That's what we all want to know. How do you fix this? Well, it's up to Dabo Swinney to fix it. He's making comparisons to the 2010 Clemson football team, which is bad news because that was an awful team that found a way to lose, a lot like this one. There's coaching problems. Coaching changes need to be made. The position coaches, there needs to be a couple of changes, 2 or 3 of them made in the offseason. We'll see if Dabo Swinney has the cojones to do that, get some of his friends out the door, and go out and get some good coaches with experience who have proved that they are able to be position coaches at a high level in Power 5 football. So there is that. Also, maybe we need some personnel changes. I don't want to hear about 85 scholarships. There's no room to go out in the transfer portal because that's a roster management problem. Maybe there's some guys on scholarship that shouldn't be on scholarship. Then you wouldn't have a scholarship problem. I think we can all agree to that. So there's your fixes. Coaching changes, philosophy change, because the philosophy on this Clemson offense right now ain't cutting it, and personnel changes. That's the 3 major things that need to happen this offseason for Clemson to get back where they need to be. And the excuse train for Dabo Swinney and the weird quotes is really getting old at this point. The laundry list, it went from we're 3 plays away from being undefeated. You can't say that after 3 losses. Now that's just, you can't blame the fans this week. You can't blame anybody but the Clemson Tigers coaching staff and the players. Now, I'll be rooting for them the same way I root for them the remainder of the year, especially against NC State this week, because I can't stand NC State outside of South Carolina. There isn't a football team or football program or football fan base that I despise more than the NC State Wolfpack. So go Tigers, but Dabo, you need to get this thing fixed and stop with your stupid excuses. Your boy checking out.